All right. And after some technical difficulties, we are back live with the Blame Girl podcast with,
Mr. Terry Wayne.
and we got Roxanne in the house. What's up, Roxanne?
Not too bad.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
I couldn't believe I hadn't had you on yet. So, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Didn't get as much comedy as I'd like to. I went down to a venue to support a show. Wasn't on, so that wasn't the most productive. I feel like it's always hit and miss when you go to watch something.
What venue was that?
Swampgrass Willies.
Okay. And there was a show there?
I thought there was, but clearly there wasn't.
Oh, okay. I follow you now. I know you told me that before, and then I was like, wait, I didn't realize you thought there was a show there.
Yeah, I thought it was every Friday.
Oh, it's once a month. It's Swampgrass Willies.
Well, at least you got to be in a dank bar.
Did you at
Dank
least
it is.
did you at least
I
hang
know.
out?
No, we did. It was pretty
Okay.
pretty busy.
Yeah. It's a good hang, I think. But
I mean, the place seems cool, but I do find that if it's not for comedy, I don't really stay out.
oh, I hear that, girl. I hear that.
It was better when you could smoke in there. It
I'm
just
sure.
added something. Like if you're gonna be in a hole in the wall bar, be in a hole in the wall bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Own it.
So Terry, how was your weekend? Did you go to a hole in the wall bar this weekend?
No. I actually I have my father-in-law in town, so we went into the city on one day, and then I had my cousin got married about 3 hours away, so that was a fun day. Drive 3 hours to go watch the wedding, and then immediately turn around and drive 3 hours back. That was no fun on Saturday.
That sounds so boring and adults.
It is, but it was nice. It was nice seeing some of my Memphis family.
Yeah.
But that's why you go.
This weekend on Friday, I had a show at Land of a Thousand Hills Coffee. It's a Rwandan coffee shop, and I made fun of the name, of course, because that's what I do when I go to venues. And I found out that Rwanda is called that the nickname is Land of a Thousand Hills. So I did learn something new at the show. And it was
in the
an okay
most
show.
Embarrassing way possible.
I know. While I'm on
Sure.
stage, I'm like, damn, I used to teach geography. How did I not know that, right? But it was an okay show. It was like at first I was a little scared. Everybody was super late, but we pulled the show together and it was all right. So that was with Raul Hernandez. And then my cousin was in town, so she came, and then we went out in Broward and hung out with a friend. Saturday, we just ran around beach. I showed her Florida basically this weekend. So it was a lot of fun. So, but now it's like back to it, like work, podcast, comedy, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, it never ends.
Yeah. All right. Are y'all ready to do some blaming?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Don't be too excited, guys. Don't be too excited.
How
All right,
excited
so-
can you get?
I mean, you could get quite excited. As excited as people are getting about Taylor Swift taking over the NFL. Who's to blame, guys? And if you don't know, Taylor Swift, she is dating an NFL player, Travis?
Travis Kelce. Yeah.
See, we don't know who the fuck he is. We know who she is.
I do.
That's the thing. Like now that she's inserted herself, I don't want to say inserted, but she's going to the games and stuff. It's just she's like taking over. Why do y'all think that is?
Because her fans are ravenous. It has nothing to do with her. It has to do with the fact that her fans are so insane. And I mean, I like that they talk about Travis Kelce like he's just yeah. Well, he is the greatest playing tight end in the NFL today.
And still his Instagram followers didn't triple until he started dating Taylor Swift.
Exactly. It's got and that's what I think.
She's just
football.
way more popular than he is. She's been
Well,
around.
that's
she older?
No, I think she's a little younger than him. I don't know.
Oh.
I know she's like 33. So
Roxanne, where do you stand on this? Who's to blame?
Honestly, I'm not sure who's to blame, but it's not surprising in the slightest. I mean, anything that she does touch, like anything she touches turns to gold
Yeah.
very, very quickly. I
Yeah.
couldn't really name any of her songs, but
Yeah.
not a day goes by that I don't read about her.
Yeah.
Whereas I had to look up what NFL stands for.
Yeah. And I think that's, for me, that's what it is. There's not one day you go where you don't read about her. It's publicity, right? It's capitalism. These brands are becoming more and more popular. Taylor's reaching out to the football guys. They're gonna start liking her a little bit, and then now he's got more Instagram
first of all,
followers.
No. First of all, no to that. I don't know any NFL fans, and I know
that's
quite a
all
few.
they've been talking about at the show.
I don't
at the games.
No.
I said the shows.
No.
It's the Taylor
That's not
Swift.
what they've been. That's what the media has been talking about. But no, I don't know any football fans that are going, oh, I really got to check this Taylor Swift music out now. But it's not happening. If anything, football fans are like, come on, man, this is all we had. Get out of here with that. Go back on tour again. And I mean, I get the fascination, but I've never subscribed to like celebrity worshiping kind of mentality. Like, all right, you can sing, you're not Jesus,
It's been like a 35% spike in women viewers, right, for the NFL games,
right,
and a 50-something% spike in teenage girls. Like, they've got all these new teenage girls watching the NFL because of Taylor. So I mean, they're getting more viewers. The NFL profits from it just as much as
now you done said it yourself. Profits from it. That's all it's about. I
said capitalism.
Yeah, they just see free money coming in the door, and there isn't. I mean, his jersey sales went up, but they'll, I mean, if you look at Taylor Swift and her history, like, okay, well, for the next 6 months, I guess teenage girls will watch one football game a week to see if she shows up.
And I'm over here, I'm like, how is Taylor going to benefit from this? And I think we all know the answer. We're going to get some fire music. We're going to get some fire music.
Yeah. See, if I was a man, even like a celebrity in that position, and somebody says, hey, you want to meet Taylor Swift? She thinks you're cute. I'll be like, nope. No, thank you. I don't need an 8-minute song about a scarf written about me. I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
Especially if I was famous and known for something else. Travis Kelce's going to go down. He's a Hall of Famer already. He's going to go down as one of the greatest tight ends that ever played the game. To me, I look at it and it's like if everybody went crazy because when Tom Brady started dating Giselle, and everybody went, oh, did you hear Tom Brady's with Giselle? No, Giselle's
I found out who Tom Brady was. I don't know.
But Giselle is with Tom Brady. That's the difference. It's
these
not
bitches make way more money than these dudes. Like, what are you talking about?
No.
Taylor Swift makes way more than just dudes.
Oh, yeah. In this case, for sure.
And Giselle made more than Tom Brady.
Maybe 1 year, but I mean, come on. You're talking about the greatest of all time.
We've gone over this, Harry. You forgot. Look at she's the breadwinner in the family. So
well, in this case, yes. Taylor Swift, yes, but not Giselle.
Yes, with Giselle. Well, you can go look it up while I'm gonna bring up the next.
I will look it up.
This is the least smooth transition I ever had because Terry pissed me off. I'm like, go check your facts. But you got to confront people, when their facts are wrong. Just like you got to confront pedophiles, maybe. But it can get you killed. It can get you killed. Who's to blame, guys? Robert Lee Wayne, he would accuse people of being pedophiles, and it got him killed.
I think it's definitely the pedophile that is to blame in this situation.
But that's the thing. Was it? Because the guy who killed him was 18 or 17. It was a 17 and 18-year-old that were together. And oh my God, it was a bug. And they said that he has mistakenly identified people as pedophiles before. So
I mean, I'd blame social media and the absolute frenzy to put content online, because that's the only reason why they're doing it. They're not working with law enforcement, right? Come on, man. We already had you on the show once. Can you get out of here?
We had him on twice.
I know. Is this not enough? You need some more attention?
Roxanne's time to shine.
I know. Mom didn't give you enough attention growing up. You got to come over here. But no, it's that constant pressure to always be putting out content and getting subscribers and this and that. I mean, and like you said, he's already accused people falsely. Well, any cop will tell you that facing an accused pedophile is one of the most dangerous situations to be in, because they have, at that point, absolutely nothing left to lose.
So Chris Hansen's still alive. He made
that's because he had a he had
capitalized off that shit.
Yeah, but he had a SWAT team behind him too. You know.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, I mean, it's being a caught pedophile is probably the worst thing in our society you can be. So the fact that somebody lost their mind on being accused of it and shot this guy, I'm not surprised at all. You know,
school shooter might be worse. I don't know.
Oh no.
You'd rather your son be a school shooter than a pedophile?
I wouldn't rather either one, to be honest with you. But I mean, if you're
gun to your head. Which one's the better human?
Yeah, I'd probably deal with the school shooter better than.
I guess it also depends on a pedophile that acts on it or not, because you can't necessarily choose to feel that way and be that way. And I'm not saying by any means justifying it, but anyone who chooses not to act on it, or someone who chooses to shoot at school, I feel there's still a very big difference there.
Have they committed the crimes? Is what you're saying? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't.
Not have done it, right?
Well, if you're a school shooter, you might survive, but if you're a caught prosecuted pedophile, you're gonna die in prison. Like, that's what's gonna happen.
Oh, I meant in general, the idea of someone being a pedophile and not acting on it, someone who's born with sexual urges that they don't condone and they don't have it in them to ever forcefully act on their feelings. I definitely think would still be a better person than someone who actively shoots up a school.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're saying having feelings and not acting on them. Well, what if you're a school shooter and you don't shoot up the school?
Oh,
you know
what? That's what I know.
If that's the case, if they're both people that don't commit crimes, then I would go with the school shooter. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's irrelevant. They're just a person then.
I think
who has dark thoughts.
I think people are just more empathetic to people that are, psychopaths or whatever reason these people be shooting up these schools than they are to people that are attracted to children.
Because some people have actively come forward and said that they're attracted to children but would never act on it, and obviously it's not something that people feel they can talk about. And anyone that have been treated as if they've done it.
Anytime you try to have the discussion about treating them as humans, it's like so much pushback for sure.
Well, it's both the same sides of the same coin. It's a mental illness. You can't tell me that somebody that walks into a school with a assault rifle and starts going crazy, that's not a well-adjusted person. Something's wrong there. Same thing with your standard pedophiles.
Yeah. And this guy, Robert Wayne Lee, he did get a sheriff fired for trying to meet a 15-year-old girl in his county. So, I mean, he did catch some, but
again, it's not his job. You know what I mean? Like, if he wants to do research and then work with the police to do that, that's fine. I think that's a very noble effort if you want to do that. But going out and hunting people down, shoving cameras in their face, and
I think those tactics are horrible. And I think you're doing that in America where people can carry guns, you know what I'm saying? So,
and it's also kind of showing that the incentive isn't necessarily the most noble.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course it's not, because again, you're trying to build your online following, as he was. And he's not the only one. There's other people that do this too, but you got to remember, at this point, they're just vigilantes. That's it. They're just vigilantes flying their own flag. There's no difference between them and, say, like the Oath Keepers. In theory, there's no difference between them and the people who stormed the Capitol. They thought they were saving the country. This person thinks he's saving some kids. You know what I mean? The point is, it's not your job. It's not your job to storm the Capitol. It's not your job to chase these people down. You want to do research, help the cops out, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I don't know why he wasn't confronting pedophiles in Congress. Speaking of Congress, the House has no speaker, y'all. We lost our speaker last week. Kevin McCarthy got voted out due to Matt Gaetz leading the charge to get him out for not fucking
For working
for
with,
actually
working with Democrats to keep the
Democrats.
country open.
Thank you, Terry. Who's
You're
to
welcome.
blame?
I had no idea before this podcast that you guys shut down your government. I'd never heard of that. I didn't realize it was a thing. I've looked it up.
We do it
There's no other
routinely.
country that does it. No
Yeah,
other
we
country closes
do it.
It's regular here. It's like,
Exactly.
regular business.
We do it very routinely. Actually,
They
I think the
threaten it
last
every
time.
year. Every time it's time to do a budget, they threaten it. Like,
I think 2018 was the last one. The last time was under Trump. I think it was 2018, but it was definitely during his. And it's always over the same thing. It's the budget. How are we going to spend the money? Where's the money going? And they all want to spend it, and it's all just smoke and mirrors anyway. You got one part that wants to spend it on this because it's going to help them politically, and this one to do it on this because it'll help them politically. And it all just turns out to be nonsense. And the only people that get hurt are us.
yeah. Do you think he's gonna get back in there? You think they're gonna put it back in there?
No, Kevin McCarthy has already said that he won't run for the speaker again.
Yeah.
Which I think
right now it's Patrick Henry. I know he said that, but he's come back and said that he'd be willing to run again if those 7 or whatever, however many were Republicans would give their support for him to be speaker again. So Matt Gaetz and company, if they will give support, he'll put his name back in to be speaker again.
Well, the worst one, in my opinion, at least, is Jim Jordan, and he's being tossed out there as the next speaker.
I think Jim Jordan tossed his own name out there.
Well, that would be very bad if that happened.
I saw Steve Scalise.
He's definitely a hardliner.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if it's another
Republican.
But I don't know. I guess the Democrats, even after him working and getting all that done, they're like, yeah, get his ass out of there.
Well, I originally, and just to say who I think is to blame on this particular one, originally I thought, well, what in the world would want the Democrats to stop and say, oh, if just 10 of us would vote, he'd stay as speaker. And that would give them a huge bargaining chip with McCarthy because they know they could keep him. They know that with their votes, they could keep him as speaker. But then it occurred to me again, it's the Democrats playing politics. They're like, no, let the GOP cannibalize themselves. Let there be a civil war in the Republican Party, which again is just going back to politics and not really, doing the job of governing. Again, the ones that get hurt at the end of this will be us. But ultimately, who's to blame? It's got to be the GOP. They've been playing fast and loose with this every 2 to 4 years. Yeah. Whenever they get control, they're like, oh, we're going to no, we want all the budget spending we want not only that, we want you to cut your programs and to fund it. And I mean, there used to be something like an economic conservative. But now it's all cultural war nonsense. And, as I've said before, the government just has to burn down before we can build it back up again. We got to get all these.
We getting close,
we got to get these wackadoos
burning down Israel and Palestine. Well, I don't want to say Israel and Palestinians are at war again. Guys, who's to blame this time?
Pretty easy on this one, to be honest.
Gonna go Hamas?
Well, yeah, of course it's Hamas. An unprovoked surprise attack on Israel. Yeah. You're the aggressor. It's like, who's to blame for the war in Ukraine? Duh, Russia's to blame. They invaded. Yeah. So it's not. I mean, it's a very complicated issue. So it's.
Would you call this unprovoked?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that you have two groups, both have.
Why is Hamas saying they did it though?
Why is Hamas saying what?
They're attacking Israel. Why did they say that they were attacking Israel? What was the
Um,
reason?
for the thousands of years this has been going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's not hard to find a reason to say, oh, well, why is Jews and Muslims fighting?
My point is it related to the land?
Of course, they both groups consider.
So that's what I mean. Is it really unprovoked? Because all we've seen is the inching away of the land of the Palestinian people to the West Bank and Gaza Strip. That's all they got left. And it would make people aggressive, I would imagine. I get what you're saying. They didn't immediately do anything to provoke it, like attack them. But how do you fix it? You've got to give these people their land back. So
really, is that what you okay?
That's really what I think. You can't just keep inching people out of their land.
Okay, well, historically, if we go back, where did the Jews originally settle?
I bet Palestinians were there too.
Well, anyway, they settled in Israel. It used to be theirs. Then it was not theirs, and then it was theirs again. So I mean,
it's always shared with other people. So
well,
and regardless,
I'm talking about who controls
that's like
it.
Based on the Bible, right?
Well,
I don't know
Torah,
how the Torah, the Bible. I don't know how historically accurate those are. They've got some historical accuracies, but come on.
Well, I mean, if you want to know who's religion's to blame in general, I mean, they're all fighting over this land because they say it's holy land. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and defend the Palestinians, but I'm not going to defend Israel 100% either, because they both want the other party gone. You act like the Palestinians, or at least you're talking like all the Palestinians just want peace and they just want to share. No, they don't. They want Jews gone.
It's like this. There's a bunch of innocent people being attacked, right?
Yeah.
In this case, it was Hamas attacking innocent people in Israel. And then what happened? Israel went right back and immediately attacked them and killing a lot of their innocent people. And it just goes back and forth.
Well,
you've got to come to resolution some way. And I'm not gonna
go with that
either. People are gonna be like, okay, Palestinians like, okay, and stop is if they stop getting inched off the land too. You got to share the land.
No, there is a very clear villain when it comes to the actual fighting. Because time and time again over the last couple of decades, it has been shown, especially with Hamas in control, that not only do they target civilians on the other side, specifically on the other side of the border, they're targeting civilians, but they will use their own civilians as human shields, essentially, on their military targets in Gaza.
So it's okay for Israel to do the same thing, use the same.
What do you mean? No, Israel, as far as I know, doesn't move civilians to their military targets specifically to try and protect those with human shields. I mean, if you have two people fighting and one of them is using using women and children. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So when Israel tries to fight back against Hamas and blows up a base and there's 100 women and children in there, you think that was an accident? Yeah.
It's Hamas.
And then they think of it as a win-win, because now they're saying, well, maybe they won't blow it up because those civilians are there. And even if they do, we get to report to the world that, look at what they're doing.
Maybe they shouldn't. They've got the military might. They've already taken the land. Roxanne, you're too quiet. Honestly, what do you have to say?
I do find that this subject is not as clear-cut as it's coming across to be. And the more that I learn about it, the more I know that I don't know anything. And I find it very hard for any of us to have such a strong opinion unless you really know from the beginning of what's going on. And there's also from a different lens that you see it. I know that working for certain charities years ago, was to help people with the crimes against humanity that were happening on one side or then the other. And then especially in the US, there's another side of it. I don't know enough. I think it'd be very ignorant for me personally to have an opinion, but the more I look into it, the more that I see both sides a lot explained and described very differently depending on what country and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And the US specifically is from a certain lens, which may be correct.
Do you think,
I don't know, but it is definitely.
I think what you're saying is correct. I do tend to see like more brown people tend to lean and like feel like what they're doing to the Palestinians is wrong. They do take that position, whereas more white Americans take the position of supporting Israel no matter what. And I just feel like my position, it's not based on race or anything like that. It's just like simple. I've seen that map, the way the land has just pushed these people out, and that shit is wrong, period. It was wrong when white Americans came here and did it to us. That's why we're not fucking celebrating Columbus Day, which is today. It's Indigenous Peoples Day, because we don't fucking put up with that shit no more. So I mean, it's hard for me to watch this even halfway across the world and not say that. What?
Who is, you're not Native American. Who is us? You said white people came to America and did it to us. Who is us?
Maybe identify with the Native Americans.
No, you
You
ain't
don't
Native
know.
American.
There were Black Native Americans here. Terry, shut up.
Okay, do I need to get your ancestry.com going just to prove you wrong on
You
this
can't have
point?
my blood. You
Listen,
can't.
I
we've had
will
enough.
agree. I will
We-
agree
Okay.
that between Israel and Palestine, both sides have done things that are definitely immoral, and both sides have legitimate arguments. But I know that one of these sides pushes for more diplomatic solutions, and one does not. And when it comes down to it, tactics matter.
Like when they take their land, is that diplomacy? I don't know. All right.
Okay, again, I know you think it's very clear cut, but it's not. And tactics matter. Okay, tactics matter. And when I look at tactics on the two fighting styles on those sides, there is a clear villain.
Okay.
That's just the way I see it.
I think the clear villain is, like you say, religion, and it's a state-sponsored religion specifically.
Well, yes, but again, I'm going to use the Ukraine-Russia analogy. There's an argument to be made for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There's an argument to be made for that.
They say, especially the conservatives say, there's Nazis in the Ukraine. There's
That's got
probably
nothing to do
Nazis
with
in
it.
Russia.
No,
Yeah,
that's
they
got
say
nothing to
that.
do
That's
with
why
it.
they say they were like,
Yeah, I
Hillary
understand.
Clinton supported the Nazis.
Okay, so you're going to say the same dumb thing they say and try to make a point out of it? No, that's not the point. I don't care who's there. You don't get to just take somebody's country because you say they're bad. The argument that can be made for that is that Ukraine used to belong to the Soviet Union, which was run by, Russia was its head. And then after that broke up and fell, the UN said that they wouldn't push any further to Russia's borders. And then when they started looking at Ukraine as maybe joining NATO, that's when Russia was like, hey, you said NATO wouldn't push onto our borders. And they have been, when I say they, I mean, we, along with the rest of NATO, have been doing it for a couple of decades now.
Yeah.
So it's that same thing with land. So you can make that argument, but in the Ukraine situation, there's a clear aggressor, and that's Russia. And in this situation with this war in Israel, there's a clear aggressor, and that's Palestine.
I mean, I guess I would agree with that. As of yesterday, they did aggress yesterday, but I think the aggression started
Saturday.
much longer ago than,
Okay. Well, that's like saying, well, somebody robbed my house, so I went and killed them.
Was there not ongoing things over the past 10 years? Or I genuinely don't know enough to have.
Oh, yeah. No, this has been going on for
Like,
decades.
I know how long
and
it's been
decades.
going on, but I meant the actual acts. I know that certain things are maybe showcased more than others. I don't know.
The last thing I remember happening was I thought Trump had negotiated some sort of agreement.
That was with Lebanon. That's a whole different
It was
thing.
with Lebanon.
Yeah. Yeah. Which again, they're saying that there's also a fighting force coming from Lebanon, but it's not the Lebanese government. It's a, small terror cell. that's doing fighting on that side as well. But yes, there's been, normally they're just held to small terrorist attacks, suicide bombers, things like that, get past the border. And they'll have they'll blow up a movie theater in Tel Aviv, but a full scale like attempted invasion like this, no, this hasn't happened since I think the 70s, I think.
Okay. Yeah. The
Right
70s,
offhand.
Oh, it was much worse. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna stop if they keep encroaching on the land, is all I'm saying. And
here's my point on it.
I really want to move on because I want to talk.
Well, just let me say one thing.
Wrapped by 8, so I want to.
Okay, all right. I'll just put this last pin in it. But with Hamas doing this, they have basically given Israel open reason to absolutely devastate Gaza. And they can, because it's not even David and Goliath. It's like David and Goliath's whole family.
I could go on and on about this. That was another thing about it. It's like, how can they just unilaterally just go attack them like that? It's like the same thing Hamas. Anyway, all right. Yeah. I want to welcome our guests, our Australian. No, I'm just kidding. Our French. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. French guest, Roxanne. Local comedian. I did not ask you how you wanted to be introduced.
I like local comedian. I started in Florida.
What's your last name in there, girl? I don't know.
Sure, last name McLeod.
Roxanne Mc Leod. Welcome.
So you're French?
Yeah, born and raised, but I have British family, so it's kind of an expatriated family.
So that's where you get the different. Okay, now that makes sense. The British and the French mixed. All right. Because she's right. You definitely sound like an Aussie.
I remember you called me up on stage, I think, one time as an Australian. Did you know?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So how did you get started as a comedian? And just so y'all know, we are at a mic. I don't think they're starting. It's supposed to start at 8. So
supposed to make sure people are buying drinks,
I guess so. But when did you get started and how?
I got started coming up to 3 years ago now, when I work on a boat. I'm a yacht stewardess, and the boat was based here in Florida. Mm-hmm. And I've always loved comedy. I always thought I would maybe one day become a comedy writer. And used to dabble in playing in bands and singing in bands. Mm-hmm. So the performance side was there. And I saw so many open mics that people treated like karaoke. We don't have that in France, or that I've ever seen in the UK.
Oh, wow.
If you do stand-up comedy, it's because you are devoted, committed, and you already know your shit before you really start doing these things. Oh, wow. And so it feels
like, how do you get good if you don't?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There was a much smaller circuit of people that did know, but it wasn't something you would just walk down the street and watch people doing open mics. And it kind of filled that gap of like, oh, that's just a dream or an idea. I was like, no, I've watched people go up that have done it once and never again, that they didn't even necessarily trying to be good. They just wanted to give it a try. And it kind of opened up that window of opportunity. And I went around Florida watching loads of open mics, trying to like hype myself up. I actually watched Gio quite a few times. I just sit there in the back, the weird kid, trying to like take notes. And yeah, then I did, from the first open mic I did at least 4 to 5 open mics every day, like that year.
Where was that first one?
The very first one was at Bradley's.
Oh, wow.
And it was their very first mic, I think.
Oh, okay. I do remember. And I remember meeting you before you started.
Yeah.
And it was at Hullabaloo. But so since you've started doing it, you've been doing it how many years now?
Coming up to 3
years
in a few months.
Jesus, that was a long time ago. So what's become your favorite venue?
Honestly, one of my favorite venues is up in Rhode Island. It's called The George, and it's a speakeasy. Because I work on a boat, I do have the very big privilege of getting to perform in lots of different states and countries. Mm-hmm. And they have a speakeasy that is just so cool and intimate, but still is treated like a big show. And I think it's a perfect balance. I find it's a big show, sometimes it's a huge venue, but this is like, the place is packed wall to wall. The acoustics are great, and it's just always a good time.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably my favorite one.
Do you have a favorite in South Florida?
Favorite in South Florida.
And you can't say
You can't say the improvs. It's too easy.
Too easy. Honestly, I'm trying to think back now. When it's packed and it's a great room, I do love Red Light.
yes.
The Red Light is a room that carries laughter really well, and it has a great vibe. And I remember when I last did it, I invited one person that I work with, and she brought like 15 people with her randomly from her rugby club, and the whole place was packed out, and it was a really, really good room. And like your set just stretches out so much longer as well, I find, because of how much you can hear the laughter in between.
Yeah. Oh man. I think I'm at Red Light this Sunday, coming Sunday.
Oh, yeah?
actually. Yeah. I do love Red Light. I've been performing at it since it reopened. It is a good venue down here. Since you've been doing this, tell us about your travels. Like, where have you traveled to do comedy? Give us some of the interesting stories too, and some of the places, just a few.
I find it really interesting how certain things will work really well in some places and not at all at others. So like between Florida and then going up the Northeast, so North Carolina, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York were kind of the scene that I did in that loop. And then I went and I did a tour in the UK. So I did England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and then I did France and Iceland. The Iceland one was a complete fluke. I was stopping over one night before coming back here.
So you're doing this in English and everywhere?
Yeah, even in Paris, I did it in English.
Oh.
I don't think I feel brave enough to do a set in French because it wouldn't translate word for word. So I would have to rewrite like a brand new 5 minutes as like a new comedian almost. So I will eventually, but I've been putting it off.
Yeah, because I mean, you see him do it in Spanish too, but I guess, the words don't translate word for word, and the jokes might not.
Yeah,
You might not get it if it's like
based
off one little word.
And a lot of my stuff are play on words, so it completely wouldn't work at all if it's not the same word that's used for two different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it's cultural too. It'll be cultural differences too. Like when I performed in Dublin once, and when I did that, I just kept talking about the things that they're totally used to that were foreign to me, and they thought it was hilarious.
And then sometimes there's another thing. Like I have a whole joke about my encounter with wild boars in France. And when I do that joke in the UK, and when I've done that joke in New York, it's actually one of my stronger jokes. And it has 100% of the time bombed aggressively here in Florida. And one guy is just like, well, yeah, it's a pig. Just get your knife out and stab it. I was like, well, how is it?
Stay to country down here.
There was no shock factor to people.
That makes me feel like, what would Texans say? Because we have wild boars and they'll kill you. So you got to be like, I know they were hunting them while we were.
And it's also a culture though around how you deal with it, because like the wild boars in France are completely overpopulated. That's where the joke kind of came from. Like they're everywhere, and they horrific headlines about them all of the time.
Yeah.
But people's response to that is, oh, you keep away, you fence up your gardens, you like that's their natural and here in Florida, it's very much just like, oh, let me ride this problem.
It's the same philosophy as
it's like pull out your AR-15.
Well, it's the same philosophy as like you might be a redneck. That was a big cultural thing back in the 90s. But everybody laughed at it. It was because it was so foreign to them, even though it was the same country. It's just like, the people in the South were just so weird in little ways that everybody found it hilarious. Even people in the South, they're like, yeah, we do that.
So what's been your favorite or proudest moment since you've become a comedian?
Oh, honestly, that's a tough one. I'm not too sure. I think honestly, I have a handful. I've had quite a few good shows, but I've had a handful of shows where I really feel like I've come out of my shell and starting to find my voice only now. I think is how I'm just about finding it. And I would say I have just 2 or 3 sets that I've done where I'm very about my writing too much. So I feel like sometimes I am a little bit too stiff. And there have been times where I've gone up without writing my set list, which isn't always a good thing, but has allowed me to just go up and it's been fluid and I've been present in the room.
I know exactly.
And when you come off with that high, but I don't have a specific event, I think, yet. That I've had.
That's fair enough.
In the room the other night, the competition was probably up there for me just because I wasn't expecting it. Then we did a competition off the mic.
Oh, the off the cuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool because I didn't know that I was a contestant because it was a shorter set.
Yeah.
So I was kind of getting my bag
Yeah.
to leave and they called my name up at the winners and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was. All right. And then you got to perform the next day,
I
right?
did,
You on the
yeah.
spot. I was like, contest, but yes, I do remember that. I was that anyway, that mic, I was like surprised when it was my turn to go up, but
Yeah, I think
I was first. All right. So what's been your biggest challenge since you've become a comedian?
Actually the easiest one is with my job. I work with like very high profile clients and I'm not really supposed to have an online presence. So like temporarily now my Instagram and my pages are private and it's making it harder when I go to new places. You have to hit people up to get booked because you're never there long enough. And if you message someone with a private account without
you have to already be following each other or
yeah. And it's been really hard. I sometimes feel like Hannah Montana of like I have this like high profile job where I have to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm having to sneak away and hide it. If that makes sense. Whereas comedy is kind of my main thing that I do and it's like a secret side thing.
That's the part you got to keep secret.
Yeah.
All right. So
You need a stage name.
I do. Maybe I'll do
Yeah.
that kind of like a
10-minute warning, 10-minute.
goddamn Roxanne.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I had when I started, it was the same thing. I had family and a business and this
His
and
name ain't
that,
Terry Wayne.
and I made separate accounts and made a stage name and a whole persona. I did comedy down there for 12 years, and there's some comics who still think my name is really Terry Wayne. Get yourself a stage name, man. It's so freeing.
All right. Tell us briefly, like, where are you from? Do you have a day job? Family, other projects?
So yeah, I'm from France. That's where all of my family are. I have quite a few siblings and cousins and aunties. They all actually kind of live together in one house. There's like 20 of us under a roof.
Oh wow.
What
Yeah.
It's a big
what
house?
part, by the way?
Kind of. Pardon?
I drove all through France. What part specifically are you from?
The Gulf of Saint-Tropez.
Okay, yeah. I went. We
I've
didn't
heard of
stop,
Saint-Tropez,
but
girl. What?
no, because when I did the road trip in Europe, we went all through there. We went from Paris to Lyon to Barcelona and then up the French coast, up the Riviera. Yeah.
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 All right. Do you have any other projects, podcasts, anything?
I am actually, it's not quite finished yet, but it will be coming out very soon. Is because I'm on a boat and moving around, I'm going to have a pop-up comedy show called Stand Up on the Rocks, where I'm going to try and promote to yachties because there's a pool of people that always ask everywhere I'm at what is going on. And I figured maybe I can make a
Fan
show
base.
that will go from here up to New York or wherever the boat goes to try and keep that going with me. So I'm
So awesome.
looking for next month launching it, doing our first one.
Well, where I was wondering, because you said you were a stewardess on a private yacht. Where's the TikTok channel? Where's this is the day in the life of, you know?
Can't.
That's the thing. Some boats are like that. You go to like below deck kind of stuff, but a lot of the boats that I work on are very, very private. So like they do a background check. I can't take any photos or FaceTime my family while inside the boat.
Gotcha.
Very, very private.
Yeah.
So are you ready to play the blame game?
The blame game.
Yeah.
Right.
About you now.
Yeah, it's about you married a comic. Who's to blame?
Definitely me. Yeah, that happened very fast. We got engaged after 6 months. We met at an open mic in Rhode Island and still going.
I feel like I've known you longer than your husband.
You have. Yeah, we just had our first anniversary in September.
Oh, happy anniversary.
We've already beat the statistics.
Yeah.
We've done a full year.
All right. All right. Do you have any upcoming shows you want to promote or anything?
I don't. I'm here for another month, so hopefully something.
Get her on your shows, guys. All right. It's time for Terry Wayne's Words for White People.
We are doing words for all people this week. And because I see all these strikes going on, we just finished with the writer's strike. The actor strike is still on. Now the auto union strike is on for the auto workers. I believe there's another one coming up, or another one that just recently started. I can't remember exactly which one, but I love seeing it. I love seeing people unify. I love seeing strikes. That's why the word this week for everyone is each other. And when we say each other, what do we mean? I mean your neighbors, your coworkers, the people that are in the same boat as you. Because meanwhile, while the people who have everything are in control of everything, they're just playing games on Capitol Hill. Oh, who's going to be speaker? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Stop worrying about them so much. Look at your neighbor and look to people that are in your same boat, because that's who's going to affect your life day to day. Should I just saw that people of the employees of Starbucks are trying to unionize. Good, unionize, absolutely. The only way an average person or an average worker will ever have any power whatsoever in this country over any industry is through their union. That's it. Now, could there be corruption? Yeah, but there's corruption in our government, and we don't do anything about that either. So you might as well just pay a few dues, work with each other, and if you're not being treated right, show them what you can do, but you can only do it together.
That's right. Togetherness. We only heard part of that. We
Oh.
only heard part of that. It was so loud. All right, guys. Harry, what are you promoting?
Just the book, Unclaimed Ashes, on Amazon for sale right now.
All right, I am in Fort Pierce on Saturday at Fort Pierce Comedy Corner comedians competing in Florida's Funniest again this year. And then on Sunday, I'm at Red Light for a Funny in Pink event. The calendar's out. You guys can order it. Follow me on Instagram. We're fundraising for the Pink Pack, I think is what it's called. So just go get your calendar. And then Monday, I'm at 14 North. So next week, I'll be streaming live from there. All right. So until next week, guys.